It's Eyes on the Game with Helen Yee, the only female sports host in Las Vegas. Go online to helenmyee.com and follow on Twitter at Helen Yee Sports on NBC Sports 920 The Game.
Right now I'm super stoked because I do have my special guest, Kru Bob Perez. He's the coach and owner of Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai in Houston, Texas, and also the head coach of top heavyweight Derrick Lewis, who will be fighting a two-division world champion Daniel Cormier, UFC 230 on November 3rd at Madison Square Garden. So I'm super stoked to be joined by Bob Perez. What's going on?
Hey, Helen, how are you, lady? You doing okay?
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And first off, congratulations. I'm so happy for you guys because I know this is something that you've wanted for Derrick, and now, it's on the historic stage, Madison Square Garden. So how does it feel?
It's absolutely amazing. Obviously this is the apex of fighting the heavyweight, UFC title. Everybody, strives for that, obviously, and it happened super fast. A quick turnaround. It's been very surreal for all of us. We can't stop smiling. Just super happy, and Derrick's going to win this fight.
Yes, and just like first off, I do want to talk about his incredible comeback. To come back against Alexander Volkov and knock him out with 11 seconds remaining. That was spectacular. And I know that it was not only just 10 days ago, but I saw, the video where you were talking to him and obviously, of course, in his corner and motivated him going into that third round. Now, did you expect him to find that finish towards the very end? Because, it looks like during the fight, he was trying to find that the whole time.
Well, Volkov did an exceptional job of staying long, and Derrick was having a tough time closing that distance. That being said, I've had hundreds of fighters, and at that 20-second, 30-second mark, I think a lot of them, when you're down on the cards, a lot of them, whether they admit it or not, they kind of give up. But Derrick and I have a connection. I'm very close to him, and I know in my heart he will, look for that knockout, look for that finish till the very last bell. So, I never, doubt Derrick's ability to do that, his heart or his tenacity. I just wish he wouldn't have waited so long because I thought I was going to die. I thought my heart was going to explode. But I believe in him, and more than that, Derrick believes in himself. And at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yes, and he showed so much heart. And I remember leading up to that fight when I spoke to him, he told me that he has the same power in the third round as he does in the first. And, that was the perfect example of that. And now with that win, he's won 9 of his last 10, with 7 of them being knockout victories. And he did tell me in the interview leading up to that fight that he is still the knockout king. So he's tied with Cain Velasquez for the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history with 10. Congratulations on that. And now you said, Bob, that after that, obviously it's been a quick turnaround. That fight was only 10 days ago. So how did all that happen afterwards? And, how soon did the UFC offer him that title shot? Well,
he fought Saturday, obviously, and I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it was Monday that we were contacted. And then, of course, everything's on the hush-hush. Everybody's trying to figure out if this could actually go through. Thankfully, it did on everyone's end. I think with Derrick's popularity right now, his post-fight, comments, and, he's hot right now. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. Did not expect it on such short notice. So literally had just a couple of days to recover. Once the fight was solidified, he got back on the horse, obviously got cleared by the doctor to make sure he could start training again and make sure everything was okay. And he's been hitting it hard. Derrick is absolutely, ready for this fight. people will question his cardio or conditioning or whatever. And, he jokes about it himself, but, Derrick, you could give him a 2-hour fight and he's going to be slinging, in the last minute of the second hour. So we're not worried about a five-round fight on such a quick turnaround. I actually think we have the advantage here because it's been quite some time since DC's actually, fought or been in the gym, and we're just coming off a fight camp.
Now, you did mention that, obviously the doctor had to clear him, but I know leading up to this fight, he did get the USADA approved steroid shots, right?
Correct. He got the injection in his back. Correct.
Okay, so how does his back feel? Do you know if those, played a good role in his fight against Volkov, and will he still be using those, moving forward now? He never complained about it. Throughout the camp, he obviously had some issues with his back. This is going to be an ongoing thing for him until he has it, surgically fixed. But he didn't complain about it during the fight, didn't really complain about it after the fight. So, that being said, I think it's a very good thing. We just have to make sure that everything's on the up and up, that we follow, USADA guidelines, because some are, legal, in competition, some are legal out of competition, but we leave that to his management, the doctors, to work with USADA and make sure that we're doing things correctly. And just coming off of a training camp, I know that Derrick has said that he only trains 30 minutes to an hour a day, but he has the best coaches in the world. I mean, is that true? He only trains, 30 minutes to an hour, and now leading up to a title fight, though. I mean, will you be mixing things up right now or extending it?
So let me kind of explain this. Derrick says whatever Derrick wants to say, and I think that we all know that. He absolutely trains more than 30 minutes a day. He trains more than an hour a day. He usually has multiple training sessions a day. Right now, he's actually been working very closely with Bubba Bush and these big monsters at BVMMA out in College Station. Of course, he's at Main Street with us as well, and then he does his strength and conditioning. I can tell you this. I've been with Derrick for over 5 years now, and when I trained him yesterday, he looked better than he's ever looked, and he's happy doing it. Usually Derrick in the gym is just like, I don't want to be here, but and he kind of like just pushes through it anyway. But yesterday he had an amazing workout.
Okay, and thank you for clarifying that. And I mean, that kind of reminds me of that now famous post-fight speech which, by the way, I noticed that now he has like over 1 million or 1.3 million followers on Instagram.
Oh my God!
Has that changed his ego?
I think he had like 450 or 500,000, and then we get back home and like Monday he was at 1.2 million. Just absolutely, it blew my mind. And I don't know what the guy's going to say. I don't think Derrick knows what he was going to say after the fight. He's taking his shorts off. He's like here, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to throw him out into the stands. I had no idea that he was going to say that, but honestly, it's the best thing that he could have done.
I know, and he's just being himself. Like, that is straight up just him.
Absolutely. Derrick, when he's amongst us, we keep a very small circle. The people in his life, he's actually a very quiet guy, but he's always hilarious. That being said, you put a camera or a mic in front of him, and God help us, because something's going to come out of his mouth. And he's brilliant, man. Derrick is a lot smarter than I think people give him credit for. He's freaking hilarious, and he's awesome to be around.
Yes, no doubt. And one of my favorite interviews as well. Now, kind of circling back and looking at of course, his next opponent, Daniel Cormier. I know that you've said before you guys are used to being the underdog, and I mean, he is coming off back-to-back victories over the very tough Francis Ngannou, who, going into that fight, and of course, Francis and Stipe's fight, how, the public kind of perceived Francis. It was like, wow, this guy's extremely tough. And then, of course, Alexander Volkov. And so Derrick's he's used to being the underdog. Going into this fight, once again, the underdog. At this point, do you guys kind of just look at it as, you know what, it's not a big deal anymore? Or is it more of like a motivation thing? Or do you just not think of it?
It's honestly, it's less pressure on Derrick. Derrick is very hungry right now. He wants to be champion. He wants to win this fight. When you're the underdog, it kind of puts all the pressure's on DC right now. It's not on us. This is a win-win for us. Worst thing that could happen here is that we were to lose this fight, and I just don't see that happening. But being the underdog, we've just kind of gotten used to it. But it does get to a point like, come on, guys, like what does he have to do? For people to give him some credit. 9 out of the last 10, like you said, tied for the most knockouts. I think his finishing rate's around 88% in the UFC, somewhere around there. It's just like, man, what do you have to do? Now, granted, historically he's been losing, the rounds or the fight until he comes and sleeps somebody, but that's what happens just about every single time. So it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter if people hate. None of that matters. The only thing that matters to us is Derrick and our team, and that's it. People can hate, they can, just whatever, but we're going to go in there and Derrick's going to do his thing.
Yes, and you guys definitely have a great thing going on. And like I said, I mean, it's crazy to think that he's only been in the UFC for about 4.5 years and obviously garnered so much, not only success in the octagon, but also popularity. But looking at DC and his style, though, first off, what did you think of his fight and his win over Stipe?
I thought he did a great job. First and foremost, we like and respect DC. I think he and Derrick, genuinely like each other. People keep asking me, what do you think about his wrestling? All this stuff. We're not going to wrestle him. We're going to fight him. And I want to make that very clear. But his fight with Stipe, I mean, he did a great job. He's going to try to kind of lull you into his punching range. And he's got a beautiful collar tie, and he's got excellent dirty boxing. And then, of course, his wrestling is amazing. But once again, we're not going to wrestle him. Derrick's going to fight him. He's going to try to punch him in the face as hard as he possibly can. We are not trying to we're not going to worry so much about what DC is going to do. We can only, because we can't control that, we can only focus on Derrick and what Derrick needs to do to win this fight.
Now, how do you see this fight playing out? I know you said knockout.
No, I think Derrick Lewis, I'm going to go ahead and call it now, by either flying armbar or omoplata. No, Derrick's going to knock him out. I don't know if it's going to be early. I don't know if it's going to be late. But I honestly, I see it. I can see it. Derrick Lewis by knockout.
Lastly, Coach, what was it about Derrick when you guys first met that really, stood out to you, or when you first started training him, that you're like, you know what, this guy, this fighter is going to be something special?
Man, I just felt a connection with Derrick right off the bat. We had our initial talk before we even started training. He came to me and, we spoke, and he was just a hell of a nice guy, and he was a very real guy. And, we talked about his past and the present and the future. And, I am a very technical coach. If you look at, some of our fighters, stuff that we've done, we're a technical gym. And I tried for a while to make Derrick a technical fighter. And then I learned very quickly that that's not who he is. I have to let Derrick be Derrick. And I think that's why we work well together. Derrick, don't get it twisted, is not a mixed martial artist. He's not a martial artist. Derrick is a prize fighter. Derrick knocks people out for money to provide for his family. And it took me a while to get that ingrained in my own head, but I believe it wholeheartedly. Derrick has the highest natural fight IQ, natural fight ability that I've ever seen in any person. And I think over the years, we've just gotten closer. I know his breaking points. He knows my limits. We just know each other, and love the guy, and I'm just so excited for his future.
Yes, and his future, coming up just right around the corner, November 3rd at UFC 230 at Madison Square Garden in the main event. Bob, can you also talk about Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai? Because I know that you, not only is Derrick successful, but you train a lot of successful fighters coming out of your gym.
Well, we've got a ton of awesome pro boxers, several WBC champions. We've got Muay Thai champions there, MMA champions as well. A ton of young fighters, mixed martial artists. They're going to be coming up and getting to the UFC very soon. I'm partners with Lou Savarese, former heavyweight boxing champion, and Bobby Benton, who's a legendary trainer. But we just love that place. We have some of the best boxing coaches and boxing minds in all of boxing. People come from all over the world to come to this gym, and of course we have Muay Thai and MMA, but it started as a boxing gym, and it's got that gritty feel that I think fighters need. And every day you just see all these young, hungry fighters just making it. I think in the last, I want to say 3 months, I mean, we're like 14-0-1. We're killing it right now. We've got 3 WBC belts in the gym just this year alone, going for another one October 27th. Regis and Coach Bobby are going to be going out to do their thing in New Orleans. So I love it. And I got to thank BBMMA as well. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to Lou DeBono and First Round Management. These guys have taken such good care of Derrick, and we love them, man. So I just wanted to say publicly how much I appreciate them.
Yeah, and is there a website for the listeners who may be interested to check out more, or even your social media?
Yeah, it's I'm on Facebook every now and then, but Instagram, it's at Kru Bob Perez, KRUBOBPREZ, and you can just look up Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai, and we'll pop right up.
Awesome. And also, I know that you love the Houston Astros, so are you watching the game?
I actually had tickets today, but I've got to teach, so I gave the tickets to one of my best friends. And baseball was my first love. And I just picture my Stros repeating and Derrick winning this title, and we love our city so much. It's just going to be amazing. But the Stros are going to take it again.
Yes, and yeah, they have a great shot. But once again, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on all your success and, Derrick's success as well. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you, Helen. Always great seeing you. When I get to see you and you're kicking butt, I'm very, very happy for you as well.